Thanks for staying tuned to your station, the Africa Independent Television, and welcome to your program, Security Watch Africa. Only on this program we'll bring you that information you need to keep your life safe and secured. Welcome to the program today. My name still remains Patrick Abambo. No change of the name. Yes, today we'll be looking at a number of very important issues that is critical to leadership and security, particularly in Nigeria. And we'll have two reports, and we'll have our guest speaking via Zoom on those issues in the report. But first, I want to announce that the dates for the 18th Africa Security Watch Awards and Conference is fixed. Now the date is December 10th, 11th, and 12th, 2024 at the Radisson Blu Hotel, Doha, Qatar. In Qatar, we'll be celebrating the Africa's best. So you are invited to join us in any way. For those who have sent nominations, those you have nominated have been studied, and those who are found to be worthy for the awards are already been notified. So congratulations to those who will be winning the awards. Yes, let's go to the promo, then after which we'll continue with the programs for the day.
It's the very first time I'll be so honored outside Nigeria, and I want to thank Security Watch Africa for having eyes for details.
Some of us doing the same kind of job. For me to have been selected as the best crime buster is not easy.
In global security, we'll never be overstressed, which is also why I like a summit like this.
In as much as I'm a very accomplished man today, based on the fact that if my efforts, my hard work, commitment, and dedication to duty is recognized beyond the borders of this country, I think I have every reason to be happy.
I want to commend the organizers of this program. It is a laudable one, and it's just to motivate officers within all the African nations.
I express my appreciation for this very important award given to the Nigerian Navy and my humble self.
I must commend the Security Watch Africa for what they have been doing to bring all African security officers together.
Join us December 10th to 12th, 2024, as we celebrate Africa's best in security and safety. Yes, let's go to our first report for today, which is a report put together by Shuli Daniels on the leadership style of the Chief of the Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Abiodun Lagbaja. Sit back.
An efficient leader is a leader who identifies the need of his team and makes efforts to provide the necessary tools needed for maximum output. In the Nigerian Army, immediate past chiefs of army staffs identified areas of needs of officers and soldiers, made provisions where necessary, and laid solid foundation for the future. When Lieutenant General Taoreed Abiodun Lagbaja took over as the 23rd Chief of Army Staff, he marshaled out his command philosophy. This philosophy came out of his vast experience from many fields of works, both in Nigeria and abroad. His command philosophy has become the compass for various Nigerian Army operations, programs, and activities. He prioritized welfare of personnel and their families and made provision of needed infrastructure, which in turn has galvanized officers and soldiers towards better service to their fatherland.
Upon assuming the role of Chief of Army Staff, I convened with my team to develop a concept for the minimum acceptable standard of medical facility for our formations and units. This was based on the understanding that advancements in technology and breakthroughs in the field of medicine and healthcare have made our previous arrangements inadequate. It was disconcerting to realize that a brigade medical center lacked basic equipment like X-ray machine, which are readily available in smaller privately owned facilities. This underscores the urgent need for modern medical equipment in our healthcare system.
For the dilapidated accommodation and even some abandoned projects, especially in 144 FOB, we address those challenges. The medical reception station have been improved. All the challenges that confront you. I also want to tell you that as the Army Headquarters is working to improve your living condition, we are receiving tremendous support from the federal government. The federal government has approved the payment of the backlog of the group life assurance for the families of our departed colleagues. We're also expecting new platforms and equipment to aid in the conduct of the operations. And if we receive this kind of support from the government, then you as troops must reciprocate. Is that clear? Yes, sir! So how do you reciprocate? You must continue to remain loyal. Your loyalty is to the Constitution of the Federal Republic and to the government of the day. Is that clear? Yes, sir!
He demonstrated this in many fora where he personally made presentations to serving personnel, injured personnel, or deceased personnel families. For those who are fighting in the front line in the Northeast, General Lagbaja ensured that the bi-weekly welfare flight is improved upon. In the area of infrastructure, the Chief of Army Staff pursued constructions and commissionings of many offices and living accommodations for the comfort of the Nigerian Army personnel and their families.
As a way of improving troops' welfare, new welfare initiatives are being implemented. The affordable home ownership option for all soldiers, otherwise known as AWUAs, aimed at alleviating the hardship soldiers face in securing personal accommodation for post-service life, is one such measure. As a way of making the scheme inclusive and showing our sensitivity to the plight of soldiers with operational-related disabilities, I've directed the Managing Director of Post-Service Housing Development Limited to set aside 5% of the AWUA scheme in each estate for allocation to this category of soldiers. The Nigerian Army will cover all the housing expenses at 100% for this category of soldiers.
With this leadership style of the Chief of Army Staff, it is believed that the officers and soldiers of the Nigerian Army will continually ensure that no part of Nigeria is left unsafe for citizens. Shirley Daniels, Security Watch Africa.
It's the very first time I'll be so honored outside Nigeria, and I want to thank Security Watch Africa for having eyes for details.
Some of us doing the same kind of job. For me to have been selected as the best crime buster is not easy.
In global security, yeah, we'd never be overstressed, which is also why I like a summit like this.
In as much as I'm a very accomplished man today, based on the fact that if my efforts, my hard work, commitment, and dedication to duty is recognized beyond the borders of this country, I think, I have every reason to be happy.
I want to commend the organizers of this program. It is a laudable one, and it's just to motivate officers within all the African nations.
I express my appreciation for this very important award given to the Nigerian Navy and my humble self.
I must commend the Security Watch Africa for what they have been doing to bring all African security officers together.
Yeah, Welcome back. Yes, you had our reports. You saw it, the leadership staff, or style of the Chief of Army Staff. Sit back as we bring the report put together by Elizabeth Tanko.
Proliferation of small arms and light weapons have been identified as a major factor that fuels violent crimes like terrorism, insurgency, banditry, kidnapping, assassinations, murder, and armed robbery. To help checkmate the menace of these violent crimes and acting in line with international best practices, the federal government of Nigeria established, operationalized, and legalized the National Center for the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons, NCCSALW. Since its establishment, the center has worked to help checkmate the free flow of illicit arms and ammunition in Nigeria. This Thursday in Abuja, the NCCSALW conducted the destruction of illicitly acquired, decommissioned, and unserviceable small arms and light weapons. At the occasion, the National Security Advisor, Malam Nuhu Ribado, described these arms as tools of violence and added that without these weapons, criminals will not be able to carry out their acts.
What we are doing here is a very symbolic thing, but it matters a lot. You see, these things that we are destroying is the cause of most of our problems. They are the tools of violence. They are the things that the cowards, the weak, the bad people, the evil will take, and through their own cowardice, use it to terrorize, to intimidate, to interfere with our lives, to stop us from going our normal lives. You are in your vehicle, they put a gun and say, get out and take it. They go into your house and kill and shoot and destroy and take what do not belong to them. They call themselves bandits. They take control of our own ungoverned spaces. They kidnap people. They can't do all this without these terrible things. The same thing, whether you call them IPOP or you call them Boko Haram or you call all. These are the things that is facilitating it. But the sad part of it is that, it's a vicious cycle. They take it, they terrorize us, and even the innocent people will have to look for them and also to defend themselves. But they are all illicit. They are all illegal. We have to find a way of putting a stop to this. We must, if we are going to live in peace. If you want to recover our country and live in peace and stability, these type of things must get off, must remove.
He commended the armed forces and other security agencies for working harmoniously towards peace and security in Nigeria.
Today, more than ever before in our history, we are one, led by him. All of us are comfortable with one another. It's so interesting that every single day you see a demonstration and a manifestation of all of us coming as one and looking at the bad peoples as those who are our enemies. We collectively stand together. We work for this country as one. And that's why Nigerians are beginning to feel the difference. That's why today, even without any too much talk, people know things are changing in our country. And I honestly, genuinely give it to the leadership, particularly of the armed forces and all the others that have made it possible. We are here today. This agency coming to the barracks, given by the Chief of Army Staff, promoted by the Chief of Defense Staff, bringing everybody to come in and demonstrate that all of us are one and doing the same thing and will continue to support you. Thank you very much for all of you.
While welcoming the special guest of honor and other dignitaries, the Director General NCCSALW, DIG Johnson Kukumo retired, stated that the challenge posed by the proliferation of small arms and light weapons is one of the major threats to the peace and security in Nigeria and West African sub-region.
This arms destruction exercise, being witnessed today, is the third in a series since the National Center was established and the first since I assumed office at the center in April 2024. Distinguished guests, the challenge posed by the proliferation of small arms and light weapons is one of the major threats to peace and security in Nigeria and the West African sub-region. Today's exercise is a crucial step in breaking this cycle. We will all be witnessing the destruction of over 2,400 illicit weapons, comprising a mix of unserviceable, decommissioned, and recovered arms. These weapons have been mopped up by the military, police, and other security agencies across the country. By permanently removing these arms from circulation, we reduce the risk they pose to our communities and send a clear message, and that is, Nigeria will not tolerate the illegal trafficking and possession of small arms and light weapons.
The Director General listed the items so far recovered and ready for destruction.
We are witnessing the first phase, the burning of the weapons to destroy the wooden and plastic parts. The second phase, which involves the smelting of the remaining metal components, will take place at a steel mill. Together, these actions will ensure that these weapons are permanently eliminated from our society.
DG Kokumo appreciated critical stakeholders for their collaboration and support.
I must specifically, at this juncture, thank the Chief of Army Staff for availing the National Center a storage facility for the safekeep of these weapons upon recovery, and also for approving the use of this venue for today's exercise. I also acknowledge the invaluable contributions of our international and regional partners who support either through technical expertise, capacity building, or advocacy has been essential to our successes. Today, we are making steady progress in our effort to curb the proliferation of illicit arms in Nigeria and across West Africa.
After the speeches, dignitaries were conducted round some of the arms and weapons recovered before destruction. Elizabeth Thanko, reporting for Security Watch Africa, Abuja.
Welcome back. Yes, we will now go back to our guest, Mr. Chimezianya Dike, a social commentator. Yes, good to have you back now. Sorry about the mix-up earlier. Yeah. What would you have to say about these illicit firearms in Nigeria and the efforts to take them off the society?
Challenge to the biggest catalyst of insecurity in Nigeria is this issue of the proliferation of small arms and light weapons in the country. And it's been permit me to call it's been a social pandemic for almost, for more than 2 decades here in Nigeria. And it's very commendable that government has totally come out right now to visibly tackle the issues and also provide reports and progress strategies as to how this issue is being tackled. At least it's obvious to the citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that these weapons that are used by criminals, armed robbers, kidnappers, and other non-state actor elements are being tackled, that these weapons are being monitored and addressed. Their reduction in proliferation in the society are being addressed visibly and aggressively by the government. It's a very good one, and I think it will encourage and inspire more confidence, in the citizens where the government is.
Yeah, a lot of questions are raising on the availability or the where these arms are coming from. Even as we acknowledge that some are being manufactured locally, but those are not too much of a deadly weapons that
Right.
we talk about.
Right.
How would you say, because it's not just confiscating and destroying the ones we have here, how do we prevent them from coming in the first instance?
Okay, I believe that first and foremost, we need to identify how they proliferated in the first place, because some decades ago, it was not easy to find criminals with high precision and sophisticated weapons that were paraded. So the first issue is to identify how they went out, how they were obtained in the first place, which I think with all due respect, started from the how do I put it, irresponsible politicking, as well as the using of criminals to perpetrate electoral malpractice back in the days, the days of cutting away of ballot boxes and all of that. So these weapons somehow were obtained, procured, and issued to these criminals to enforce the will of some politicians. And then those weapons, the same weapons, were not retrieved, and they were allowed to still remain in the hands of some of these criminal elements who, after having served the will of these their masters, could not find themselves being idle, and of course chose to continue their lives of criminality. Of course, that is one theory, I believe. And also the issue that that some of these weapons might have come across our borders without proper monitoring and checking and verification and all of that. So I believe that with what the NCCSALW is doing, I think that there has been heightened and increased efforts towards tracking and monitoring how these firearms, how these weapons circulate within the society, how they come in and how they eventually circulate. And I believe that once their efforts are stepped up, these issues would be greatly reduced and to become a story of the past. But I believe that retrieving these efforts towards retrieving some of these weapons is a very, very commendable effort by the government.
Okay. Yeah, that's two things before we will allow you to go. One is one of the statements made by the National Security Advisor there, though, where he talked about that some compromise or some criminally minded personnel of some of these securities sometimes lend out their arms or hire out their arms to these criminals. What do you think the security agencies should do in this regard?
Okay, I think coming from the National Security Advisor at a public forum like that indicates a very huge security problem, first and foremost. And it is something I believe that if more attention is paid to these issues, this is how it will eventually play out. I believe that some of the weapons, some of the light arms issued to security agents or security outfits are numbered. I don't believe that they are issued with weapons without any form of identification, without any form of verification. I also believe that some of the ordnance, the bullets, and all of that that are used to perpetrate some of these that have been alleged to have been given to criminal elements have numbers. They have identification numbers and all of that. And I also believe that the bullets as well, the ammunition, have numbering as well. So
yes.
if that is the case, then it shows that it means that it's a very easy task for the forensics department of the various security outfits in the country, the various security departments in the country, to be able to identify the numbering of the ammunitions that were discharged during any particular criminal activity. They would be able to identify the ammunition and identify the weapons that were issued alongside the ammunition, also the weapons that were used to discharge the ammunition, and as long as they have numbering, it will be easy to have.
Yes. Yeah, sorry, I think we must leave it there until we may continue on this issue next week. It's our pleasure having you on the program today. Time is not on our side today once again. Sorry, Mr. Chimezanyadike, there, a social commentator. We had to end it there because of time. Thank you for joining us. Yes, we must leave for other programs to continue. It's quite an interesting topic, and we'll continue with it again next week. Until we come away again next week, I said thanks for staying tuned, and bye for now.
It's the very first time I'll be so honored outside Nigeria, and I want to thank Security Watch Africa for having eyes for details.
Some of us doing the same kind of job. For me to have been selected as the best crime buster is not easy.
In global security, yeah, we'd never be overstressed, which is also why I like a summit like this.
In as much as I'm a very accomplished man today, based on the fact that if my efforts, my hard work, commitment, and dedication to duty is recognized beyond the borders of this country, I think, I have every reason to be happy.
I want to commend the organizers of this program. It is a laudable one, and it's just to motivate officers within all the African nations.
I express my appreciation for this very important award given to the Nigerian Navy and my humble self.
I must commend the Security Watch Africa for what they have been doing to bring all African security officers together.